There was a lot of insecurity, a lot of questions, doubts, because again, never done camera work, and yeah, I was like, इतने बड़े लोग हैं, क्या इनसे कुछ गलती मतलब are they doing this by mistake that they just cast me as a complete newcomer, trusting me so much?
Yeah.
Because there's been so many auditions, so many rounds of Aram Nagar, where I mean, I still had done that film, but people didn't know about that film, and so there was no response at all from the casting teams or from anybody, because I was just another person. I've kept that funda that after giving an audition, think you're not gonna get it, or just forget about it. Yeah. And then if it happens, okay. I used to archive the chats after sending, so that it's just not reminded to. Honestly, nothing that has actually hurt me. The only thing that hurts me is no response.
Okay.
Anything else, I think I can take it, that I can understand whatever reason. But when there's no response at all, it's like, oh. If I get ever replaced by somebody in the family itself, then what I would like to think is that person is better than me in this role, which is why they got it. And then that would probably propel me or motivate me to work more on my craft. Like, I remember the first time I read something negative about me, I allowed myself 2 minutes. I actually got goosebumps during reading that. I was like, oh God, this is terrible. Criticism for your craft or something, you can still read it. You can take it with a pinch of salt. But if somebody is talking about your color, your appearance or anything, that is just uncalled for and just not nice.
Yeah. Industry that's filled with glitz, glam, and all that jazz, what we really crave for is impeccable new talent, and that is exactly what I found when I watched my guest's first ever film. So joining me today on the Free Press Journal's The Next Big Thing is the man of the hour, Kesav. Hi Kesav, how have you been?
Oh, sweet. Thank you so much. I've been very well. How have you been?
I have been good. In fact, I have so much to tell you. Firstly, when I watched the movie, I was constantly thinking, who are these two new people who I really need to meet and have a conversation about cinema and movies? Because that just reflected in your performance. It felt like it had that innocence.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it felt like you know your job and you have that experience. But then I got to know it was your first film. So I was surprised. How did you manage to do that?
I think there's a lot of unlearning, because I did theatre for a long time, collegiate level, and then but never camera work. So but there's always this clarity in my head, at least, that I want to do films. And things just turned out, and I just surrendered to the makers of the film, right? From the casting director to the director, just trusted them, and whatever they said, I just listened and unlearned all the things, small knowledge that I had about acting, about about the craft, and then now here we are.
What was your reaction when you heard the title Girls Will Be Girls? Because we have heard Boys Will Be Boys so many times that I was quite intrigued to read also. Oh, Girls Will Be Girls. It's something new. It's nice. So what was your reaction like?
Obviously, my first the place what I related to was Men Will Be Men, the Imperial Blue, the ad, right? And then again, I was like, it sounds something very catchy. But I believe it was not said when I was sent the script. I was not told the name of the film back then. So I read the script first. And after that, I was like, what an apt title. I mean, there is nothing better than Girls Will Be Girls.
True, that is true.
Though earlier, the director had, I think, given it the title about the pledge, the school pledge.
Acha, okay, yeah. No, but now I think, now that we're so used to Girls Will Be Girls, we don't think any other title would be, appropriate. But tell me something about yourself. You are a Bombay boy. You've grown up here. Was films, and were you always this fascinated and had an obsession with film stars and just acting and working?
Always. I mean, I was born in Kerala, but brought up in Mumbai, and then every week there is this ritual that we as a family had, because thankfully my father doesn't like watching films on TV. He likes it on the big screen. So we used to go to Sangam Theatre in Andheri East, Chakala, and there was so many watching of films, Hindi films, Malayalam films, because I come from Kerala, And then in between, I switched to Tamil as well.
Wow.
I started taking in Tamil films. So there was so much exposure to cinema that somewhere, and then that started influencing me that, okay, I watched मैं हूं ना, so मुझे आर्मी में जाना है. And फिर कुछ और देखता था, फिर वहाँ से भाग मिल्खा भाग देखकर I wanted to be an Olympian.
Wow.
Like, I wanted to get an Olympic gold for India. But then I realized maybe I just want to be an actor because
you
every
want to
film
play.
is changing me.
That is true.
So yeah, it has had a very big influence. And now, like, meeting people who I've seen, जिनके काम देखकर, जिनका काम देखा है, तो it is very surreal.
Who were the actors that when you were growing up and watching in theaters or on TV, or that left a mark on you that, oh, he's so charming or she's so, talented, I want to be like them?
Do we have to say Shah Rukh Khan, or is that understood?
That's understood, but yeah.
I mean, Mannat is my, if somebody comes to Mumbai and asks me to कि Mumbai घुमा दो, ताज से पहले मैं उनको मन्नत ले जाता हूँ. But of course, he is him, and so many. I mean, I'll fall short of names, but even Hrithik Roshan, and I got to meet him at Mami, and that was very surreal. Ali sir, I remember watching Three Idiots in the theaters, and then now he is there as a producer, so I know him even closely now. So yeah, so many.
How does it feel when you've grown up watching these people? Like when I started off my career as a journalist, there were a few people, obviously I was fascinated with them. I was not starstruck, but I was like, okay, I really like this actor, and now he is having a conversation with me and we're talking about films. So I used to get very overwhelmed in the beginning, and that first 1 year was a little, how do I handle it? You don't really know, you're new. How do you do that? Because with you, it's happening on a bigger level, because they also know you back now as an actor, as someone who's working in films now. How do you manage to cope up with that?
I have not at all
You've not
managed.
taken it in.
I'm still trying to soak it in, still trying to not embarrass myself when I talk to them, because I get my tongue twisted in front of, I remember meeting Rashita Duggal, and I was such a big fan, but I just couldn't say anything, and I was just hoping that she comes and talks because she's seen the film. And so that meeting, I did not talk to her at all. And then in the second meeting, when she was there for the screening of our film, that's when we talked, and then I told her, last time I didn't have the guts to come and talk to you. So that being an example, so I'm still figuring it out. But even filmmakers like Hansal Mehta sir, I just couldn't tell him that I'm an actor. I told him I'm such a big fan of your films, Aligarh, I've loved it so much. And then it took me a second meeting to tell him that, sir, I forgot to tell you I'm an actor. And then he's like, you have done such a good job. And
wow,
very kind.
That happens. You take time to process it. How did you actually, I also know that this was the first audition ever, am I right?
Yeah.
And you cracked it. It's very, very rare. When I say you it's rare, it genuinely is very rare that an actor cracks his first audition and directly gets a lead role in a movie, in his first movie. So what was that like? Were there any phases of, self-doubt coming in ki mujhe mil to gayi hai picture, but will I be able to do it?
So it was an 8-month process since the first, when I reached out to the casting team and when I got a final call that I've been confirmed. So in the 8 months, not a single time have I felt that mujhe mil gayi hai. I was, every single step of their contact, I was like, oh wow, it's my first audition, I've reached till here. Good validation, I'm out. Now they've probably found another person. And even when they finally said yes, I was like, okay, maybe last moment there could be something. And I was just so open to be replaced at the end. And when we started shooting is when I was like, oh, so I'm actually doing this film. But there was a lot of insecurity, a lot of questions, doubts. Because again, never done camera work, and I was like, इतने बड़े लोग हैं, क्या इनसे कुछ गलती, मतलब are they doing this by mistake that they just cast me as a complete newcomer, trusting me so much? But then that was also a confidence booster that इतने बड़े लोग हैं, so they would have thought something, they would have seen something. So I think navigated through that.
That's great because, but also I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, but agar beginning में something happens that is like you said, unexpectedly it happened, it was given to you, and then of course it was a great validation. But an actor's journey is filled with rejections and replacements. Even when you make a big name for yourself, there are parts that you don't get. Do you think it will be a little difficult for you to deal with those rejections or replacements because your start has been a little smooth?
Um, I think the 2 years after the film shoot, right, that really prepared me for that. And to a point where now I do not expect that because there's been so many auditions, so
Yeah.
many rounds of Aram Nagar where, I mean, I still had done that film, but people didn't know about that film. And so there was no response at all from the casting teams or from anybody because I was just another person whose work was not out. So so I think that really prepared me that I did all those cold emailing and all that processes in those 2 years, and now I think I'm better prepared. That again, my I've kept that funda that after giving an audition, think you're not gonna get it or just forget about it. Yeah, and then if it happens, okay. I used to archive the chats after sending so that it's just not reminded
Yeah.
to reminded again and again that you have done this. Yeah, I
Wow.
just have my own tricks to calm myself down.
What is that one reason that has been given to you for not taking you for a part that really upset you, because maybe it was not related to your acting? Because just yesterday I met this wonderful actress, she's also a producer, called Lakshmi Manchu. She does amazing work, and she was telling me yesterday that I was told I'm too pretty and I look too young for this character. And then she gave an example like Sam did in The Family Man.
Yeah.
She had to darken her skin, she had to wear all those clothes and just dye her hair and become messy. She looked the part. Sam doesn't look like that in reality. She's way too beautiful even for that role. So she was just giving me this example that really hurt me, because if they said that my maybe acting wise I'm not matching the character, I would take it with all my grace.
Yeah.
So what is that one or two reasons that you have heard and you've been ticked off?
Honestly, nothing that has actually hurt me. The only thing that hurts me is no response.
Okay.
Anything else, I think I
Yeah.
can take it, that I can understand whatever reason. But when there's no response at all, it's like, oh, okay. Because otherwise you're just hoping कि शायद कुछ आ
Correct.
जाए, कुछ
हाँ.
response, I think.
Even if it's like a no, I think it's
Yeah.
better to just inform, hey buddy,
Yeah.
we are not going ahead
Yeah.
with you. Yeah, that
But
is
though,
most-
I've actually heard the other side also, where some actors do not want to be told no.
Oh.
They say that we for us it's better if there's no response at all, because there's that hope कि शायद कुछ something good will
Acha.
happen. But I
Okay.
think there are two sides. I'm on
Yeah.
the other
No,
one.
that is, even I feel like, just
Yeah.
tell me whatever
Yeah.
it is. Like when I pitch an actor an interview, and if he doesn't want to do it or she doesn't want to do it, just tell me, hey,
Yeah.
I don't think it's the right thing for me to do. But that being said, there have been so many debates around this topic of an outsider and insider, star kid nepotism. As somebody who has now entered the industry and is self-made, and you've done everything in your power to make your career, what do you feel about these conversations that if you don't have a godfather, it will be way more difficult for you?
I think with the start I have had, I cannot really say that. But does that mean it's not there? Definitely not, because I know a lot of my close friends who have faced some rejections
Yeah.
because of these reasons. But I see it in a way that there are other privileges that people who have grown up in those families have, which is like, say, talking to a person in the industry. For me, I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah.
That like I said, I'm still it's that fan in me which talks first, which is why I cannot ask those kind of questions. Like now, I can ask Ali sir and Richa ma'am, because we have spent so much time. I can
Correct.
ask them questions about anything, about the craft, about other stuff. But yeah, there's this entire then the business side, which I think for me, I really want to learn about it, but there's less sources to get it from, right? Yeah, so I think those kind of stuff, which is the other side of it,
Yeah.
like say what to speak, or the stylist, the entire that side of it, like what to keep in mind before giving an interview, all those things.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of benefit that people have when they've grown up in.
Yeah, that is true, because I feel work-wise, you can get your first film, maybe two more
Yeah,
films you
yeah.
can get. But if the audience is not accepting you as an actor, we have seen so many people with big surnames who have done brilliantly well, Alia Bhatt, Ranbir Kapoor, because they genuinely are talented.
Yeah.
We've seen so many people, not to name, but who did a few films but they couldn't work, so they shifted to production or did something of their own. So I feel in the end, if you actually are a good actor, that is all you require. But yeah, initially, like you said, those conversations, meeting those people, getting meetings, and even being called by a casting director that, hey, we want to see your profile or
Yeah,
meet you,
yeah.
that is there. I saw this reel yesterday of this brilliant aspiring actor. Her name is Sai, and she made a reel where she was rehearsing the lines of her main lead, and then she's called, that set ready, and ma'am, and she goes, and she's actually not the main lead. The main lead is someone else, and she does the same lines horribly.
Okay.
And the director says, very nice beta, good done, ye wo. And she says, Chachu, how was it? And then she just looks into the camera and says, one day. So that just broke my heart so much, because even though she picturized it, it actually happened. So many friends of mine who were in college with me are aspiring actors today, are unable to, get into the industry. When you hear things like that, that talent is not being prioritized because you don't have a big surname, does that ever bother or hurt you?
Not really. Very honestly, not really, because I don't think along that side. Somewhere, because maybe while I was even doing my engineering, right? My father being in the corporate, he wanted me to be in the corporate sector as well. And I know that if I had not chosen this career for myself, there would have been places where he would give his reference. But I also feel that nobody would refer to a person who they know is very bad, because it's again a name of, it's a thing which their reputation is also at stake. So again, like you said, maybe the first few projects or something, but otherwise, I don't like to look at that side of it, because I think that's just, then you tend to give those excuses. If I get ever replaced by somebody in the family itself, then what I would like to think is that that person is better than me in this role, which is why they got it. And then that would probably propel me or motivate me to work more on my craft, which would be more helpful for me, I think.
That is a very positive way to look at it, honestly, because if that happens, if they are more talented than you and they get the part, great. But sometimes it doesn't happen that way. And see, it's going to be your journey where you deal with such things and you're going to react. Another thing that happens a lot in the film industry is the politics. Like even in the media industry, it happens so much. Like if you're close to the people, not in terms of surname wise, but if you just have a good rapport, you'll get things easier. But if you don't, if you're termed difficult, you're termed somebody who's not coping on set. And I've heard things about people who have been very outspoken and taken their stand, and they are termed as ye difficult hai, iske sath nahi humko aage kaam karna. So how do you plan on managing that in your journey whenever in the future it happens?
I really don't know. God, now you've scared me.
No.
But no, I think not to think all of that through much. Worrying about what is in my control right now, and then other things, one film at a time, seek lenge.
But what excites you now that you've done 2 films? One is in post-production and one, of course, released. What do you think that you would want to now explore? Because now, this is your playground and there are so many things. And when you're new, there are so many things, so many new things that you can explore. So what things excite you now? Like
you said, it's the exact word is playground, right? So now it's just like, I just want to play, and so many things. I definitely want to do something which is outright comedy or a hardcore romance, because the life that I've lived till now, like say an engineering college, the high school, so I think I'll be able to contribute more there, because having lived that, it's there in memories. I've seen that world.
True.
So I think I would like to do something along those lines, which is the world I've lived in.
Correct. Also, when you enter, and there are like so many, you also get used to the media attention, little bit of social media attention, gradually of course it increases. How do you manage that? Because there are, of course, I'm sure अभी तक तो positive comments ही आ रहे होंगे, ऐसे hate के लिए कुछ है ही नहीं, but unfortunately actors also get to deal with a little bit of negative comments, so it's of course part and parcel of life. So how do you manage to sort of keep it positive? Because on social media you are just there, you are putting out your stuff and being content in that. So agar aage jaake aisa kuch hua, there are comments, how do you plan to deal with that?
No, actually, I mean, I have got a few, very, very few.
Hate comments?
Yeah, I think.
What for?
For the film, maybe they did something like something.
Acha, for your character, aisa
I
kuch.
think, but even one or two maybe for the as an actor also. But I think that's because I have seen so many of my idols and the characters which I really adored, them being criticized. So मुझे लगता है कि opinion is it's gonna come from everywhere, all types of it. And if I pay that too much attention, then the 50 people who have said that you've done a good job, I'm invalidating them.
That is true.
And that feels very wrong. So like I remember the first time I read something negative about me, I allowed myself 2 minutes. I actually got goosebumps during that, reading that. I was like, oh God, this is terrible. But then I self-talked into this thing that, you read 5 other things which were good just before. You're just completely ignoring it. That's not fair.
That is, but human mind is such that it's very difficult to do that. I know, because when we put out an interview on YouTube and there will be 40 comments saying a nice conversation, nice interview, and then there will be 5 comments that will not even be saying bad about the interview, they'll just say bad about either your appearance or how the set is looking. I'm like, oh God, talk about my work. That also happens a lot in the kind of industries that we are in. Sometimes they will not talk badly about your work, they'll talk badly about other things only. Maybe they don't like the way you look or the way you walk or talk. And how do you manage to sort of keep that away from your mind and then just keep focusing on your work?
That is a whole different thing, right? Like criticism for your craft or something, you can still read it, you can take it with a pinch of salt. But if somebody is talking about your color, your appearance or anything, that is just uncalled for and just not nice. So I don't know, sometimes you have this urge of just replying that, I mean, why are we doing this? Why is this still happening? But I guess there are so many people, you cannot tune everybody into this thing. So ignorance is
bliss. That is true, because once you start commenting,
what about you? Do you feel like addressing it? Do you feel like?
I feel the haters hate it when you ignore them. They hate it so much, because once I did a drive through. I told you that driving show, and I called a guest, and we spoke about a certain person, and the person's fans, they didn't like it. And even though we didn't say anything negative, anything bad, they bombarded my comment section. They reached reels of my friends and all of that. And when none of us replied, they DM'd my sister.
Oh God.
Who lives in London, who has nothing to do with it, that your sister is this, and we'll make sure we do this. And then she called me and she was all panicky, and I was like, just imagine, because I am not giving any attention to them. So now they're reaching out to people who are close to me. So I was like, listen, you also ignore. So that is when I realized, okay, ignorance is actually bliss. You don't have to indulge, because then it will just keep multiplying.
Right.
So my thing is, anything to do with negativity, I don't want to indulge in, because that comes from a place of hatred, and that also comes from I really feel bad for them, because that is all they have to offer. So that is, I think, once you get to understand the system, you don't really care about what others have to say. But in the film industry, one thing I have heard so much is that actors are insecure, and I have heard so many actors come to my shows and say that hum sabse zyada insecure hai, but now we are dealing with it, because we have to reach the top, and reaching the top is not that difficult, but
Yeah.
maintaining your position at the top is very difficult. And only a secure actor can manage to do that. For example, Shah Rukh Khan.
Yeah.
He, I think, is the epitome of someone who's very secure now. But he also admits he has dealt with his phases
Yeah.
of insecurity. How do you see yourself as? Are you someone who's very secure and content?
Not at all. Not completely, but that is the aim. That to train myself in a way that that I worry only about things which I have control of,
Yeah.
and just not take things too seriously. And it's a constant battle, like you said, of beating insecurity, I think. And that would be one of the biggest wins, that if you overcome that. So just day by day trying to beat that, comment by comment trying to beat that. But I like what you said. I think I'll keep that in mind, that ignorance is bliss. That really gets
Absolutely.
the haters.
Of course, let them just, it's okay. We'll
Haters
move on.
gonna hate.
We'll just do our work in a better manner,
Yeah.
and then maybe just make them quiet.
Yeah.
But that being said, unfortunately, and I blame the media also for it, that sometimes we as journalists, and by we I don't include myself, I don't do this, but sometimes the media pits actors against each other. ये पहले तो बहुत होता था जहाँ actresses को, actresses can't be friends, and they used to just write nasty articles about two actresses if they weren't
And it's always
talking.
they say about actresses, right? Mainly.
Always.
very
But now, since we are reaching a little bit of equality, they have started saying about anyone who's new. Like, if, for example, that day Ibrahim's song came out, so they will start, Turan, they started comparing Ibrahim and Junaid. Oh, one is Amir's son, one is Saif's son, and all of that. And I was like, wait, we haven't even watched Ibrahim. And Junaid ki film tab tak release bhi nahi hui thi, but we had seen Maharaj. So I was like, what is happening? So when things like that happen, like there's so much competition also. See, y'all have all entered at around the same time, so there will be articles about you guys when you, maybe अगर आपकी film किसी के साथ clash हो रही है, what is going to be your thought process during then, and what do you think you will deal with? How will you do it?
I don't know. It's just that there are so many films being made. There are so many characters. Now, I for a fact know that I cannot be playing something, maybe a different type. So there would be another actor needed for that. And a film clashing or releasing around the same time. In fact, this is a time where there are a lot of newcomers suddenly. But it's actually so inspiring to see that. To see that, I think for a time before this, maybe 3-4 years, there was a time where there were not many new actors you get to see. And then now suddenly there's a wave, and it's so beautiful, I feel that, and it's, I'm sure it will motivate more youngsters to get into the industry. So, I mean, I've never thought of it that way as in a negative way, and it's yet to happen. So I guess I'm yet to figure it out.
You'll just figure it out, But, now that you were talking about people that you've grown up watching, what about filmmakers? Who are these filmmakers that you really want to work with, if you had to name a few, and why?
How long is this interview? How long can it go?
We'll just go with your top 3.
Top 3? Oh God. Okay. Since you asked for 3, Anjali Menon.
Okay.
She's a Malayali director, Malayalam films. Bangalore Days. If
I know.
Yeah.
Incredible work.
Oh, I'm such a big fan. Meera Nair, of course.
Wow.
Again,
Lovely.
Big fan of her work.
Yeah.
And I think Mani Ratnam.
Oh yeah.
Mani Ratnam
Oh
sir,
my God, Mani Ratnam.
All these people, I think I've figured why I admire their work so much. I think it's because of the relationships. The relationships in their films, right?
True.
It is so beautiful, and I think I really, sometime in my career, I want to be part of each one of their works, and so many more.
Wow.
Imtiaz sir, Hansal
of
sir,
course there are so the list is this was a little unfair question, I admit, but it's always great to have that vision. Why I told you top 3, because when you have this clear vision that these are my top 3, and there's no shame in that. It's okay. There are 100 people I'm sure you want to work with.
Oh, I have a list. I have made a diary of full of
endless list. But when you have clarity that mere top 3 kaun hai, it just helps you manifest it in a way, better way. This is what I feel. If you segregate, that is why I give you a number.
Yeah.
So now you also know, okay, these are my top 3.
Thank God I took names, otherwise kuch bhi nahi hua manifest hota.
No. It just gets a little puzzling.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
Yeah.
But lastly, Kesav, of course, I do feel that you are here to stay and you are the next big thing. But if I ask you, who according to you in the recent past, you have seen so many newcomers work, who do you think is the next big thing?
Preeti Panigrahi.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've seen her work. Right?
Yeah.
And, oh God, she's so incredibly talented. And others, I think, I really like Lapata cast.
Oh yeah, Sparsh and Pratibha, yeah.
Gitanshi and who else? So many. I really like. There's this again in my film. His name is Akash.
Okay.
He's the guy who proposes.
Oh yeah.
Again, I've seen since we were not shooting together, so I was always at the back end when he was shooting. Oh God, he's so incredibly talented. He's there in Mirzapur also.
Achha.
He did All India rank as well.
Wow.
Again, the actors in All India rank.
Yeah.
Bodhisattva and Samta. There's so many again. Oh,
I
God.
know. Okay, wow. So you named quite a few.
Yeah.
And we wish to see more and more. This is just the beginning, but more and more of you. And we'll always be rooting for you because, as I mentioned in my intro, we really, all we crave for is good talent, new talent coming in. So thank you so much for introducing us to yourself, your character, and the way you act. And all the very best for your future.
Thank you. It was so lovely talking to you.
Same here. Thank you.